Hi, in this tutorial I will continue to discuss the different model options available in fruits. In the previous tutorial I discussed the inclusion or not of these three model parameters so that the user can specify a model instance which is suited to a specific problem. I also mentioned briefly this labels option here. Just to remind you, in fruits there are two forms of labeling. Generic labeling, in which one would talk about targets, sources, proxies, etc. And food labeling, which is directed towards diet reconstruction problems, in which one talks about consumers, food groups, dietary proxies, etc. Now, of course, the chosen form of labeling has no impact in the running of the model. Next, we have this minimum uncertainty. Now, for the different model parameters in fruits, the user will enter values and corresponding uncertainties. And these are to define Gaussian distributions associated to the different parameters. So target or consumer values, offset values, weight values, source or food values, and concentration values. The user will enter the mean value and the uncertainty, which corresponds to the standard deviation, and of course one can have different standard deviations, and so the Gaussian can be wider or narrower. Now, the user also has the option of leaving an uncertainty cell blank, and if the user does this, then this minimum uncertainty value will be used. Okay? This minimum uncertainty value is also employed here in the prior info, which I will discuss in detail in another tutorial. But the user has the option of defining a user uncertainty, but if no user uncertainty is defined, then again this minimum uncertainty value will be employed. Smaller values lead to stronger priors, larger values lead to weaker priors. When for this minimum uncertainty value, the decimal separator to be used should be a dot, no commas. Otherwise, it will not accept the value. Next, we have burn-in and updates. Now, the way fruits provides estimates or generates estimates is through a Markov chain process, which could be similar to this one here. Let's say this is the number of steps in the Markov chain, and this is, for instance, an estimate on the contribution of a source. Okay, and it could start off here, and then eventually it would converge and oscillate around the estimated value, okay, of what should be the contribution from that source. And these oscillations will the magnitude of these oscillations indicate the uncertainty in the estimate. Now, what we are interested in doing is removing this bit here, in which convergence still has not been reached, and use something like this area here, to provide the different summary statistics, the estimated average value, the uncertainty associated with it, etc. Now, your burn-in value is the number of initial steps in the Markov chain to be discarded. Okay? So you need to use a number which is large enough so that you can be sure that this bit is discarded. And then to generate the summary statistics, one also needs a number which is sufficiently large, and that is taken from this bit here, and this is the number of updates. Okay, and linked to this are these convergence tests. And here the user has to define whether the fruit should include as an output or not convergence tests. And I have here an example, and I will not discuss this in detail, but here one has this trace plot. And here one has only the number of updates. So one would be in this sort of region after the burn-in. And as you can see, there's this is a running mean, and there's a decent level of convergence. So the estimates for these two sources are oscillating around a mean value. If one would still have a situation like this, a way of addressing this would be to increase the number of burn-in steps. Okay? And of course, one also should have a sufficiently large number of updates so that if you would just sample a small area here, you see there are still some oscillations, so it could be not representative of the true variability in this Markov chain. So if you select this bit here or this bit here, so a sufficiently large number of updates is also important. Now, as I mentioned previously, in a separate tutorial, I will discuss these graphs and these options over here in more detail. But for now, that is it.